I've been looking forward to you coming back in because I know you and the team have been working hard on the web development, the website specifically, the Agent Hub, all the new technology, all the new tools that now appear on the site. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, just real quick.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that the website, GoLibertyTitle.com, is a central hub for agent resources with business development tools, with pricing tools, with content. And the idea is to weaponize our customers and prospects with the latest and greatest tools in real estate and title. Perfect. And it's been a painstaking effort. You and I have worked really hard, but the site is overly functional, and we've got some really good feedback. So we're really excited about it.
So we always definitely spend a lot of time with creating content, excuse me, around all that. But today I wanted to kind of pivot a little bit and find out more about the leadership and who specifically Jonathan is.
You're gonna ask me some real questions.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's time.
Geez, okay. Well, I'd like to think of two things of myself, and obviously the superego is a function of that. But I'd like to think and say that I'm a gentleman and a sportsman. A gentleman means that I try in every aspect of life to do things the right way. And I think if there's a mantra, I try to leave things better than I found them, whether it's a personal relationship or a business situation or any other circumstance you come through in life. If in the back of your mind, if you're saying to yourself, can I leave this better than I found it? I think you wind up in a really good place. You're improving society, you're improving yourself, who you are. You're improving, anything around you that's possible. So that's really important to me. The sportsman part is, everything sort of tethers back to your childhood, right? So we grew up playing sports, very competitive family. I played football, basketball, soccer, golf, tennis.
How many kids in the family?
There's just two of us.
Okay.
So, but that said, that was enough. I know you have a brother.
Plenty.
And, it's just like, tripping each other, forearm shivers, all these important things, but they were really formative. And, it all stemmed from my mother and father, two highly competitive, successful people. I mean, I can remember, playing in a soccer game and, I scored 4 goals. We won 4-2. And in the car on the ride home, my father's like, what happened on that 5th shot? And what happened was I put another shot on goal and to hit the crossbar and missed. So it wasn't like, hey, you did great, you helped us win the game, but it's like, what happened there? Mm-hmm. And that sort of mentality sticks with you. And, whether it's business, title, children, all these things, like you're always kind of looking in the mirror going like, okay, what's next? How do I push?
The opportunity for improvement.
The opportunity that every day, no matter how hard you work, there's always room to optimize and to get better. I mean, opportunity is never lost. Someone always gets the one you missed. So with that in mind, you say, I got to make that additional call before I go today. I got to see to this, I got to see to that. And that competitive mentality doesn't leave you. And then lastly, the most important role I have is, I'm a father to 2 children. I sort of say it's the best job with the worst pay structure. I have a 6 and a 3-year-old girl, and every day I'm their hero. Daddy, all these things, and to be, and it's obviously they're going to grow out of it, and at some point they're going to think that I'm, not as cool or interesting.
Ask me, I'll tell you.
Right, exactly. That's for your
yeah,
set.
exactly.
But no, and it makes you a better person because, people are relying on you to, do all these things. You have 2 people that are completely reliant on you, and it all tethers into, the business venture and serving customers and helping realtors and business people grow. Because it all sort of runs downstream.
So it all comes back to the first point, which is what am I leaving behind? How am I serving? What am I doing for others? And it applies to your business, the way you've been growing it, mm-hmm. but also back at home, right?
Yeah, and as a human being, honestly, I mean,
because we can't take any of this with us.
We can't, no. But what we've done is we've modernized 2 really great agencies with great technology, but the people that run the technology are the secret. And for me as a person, that's the way I sort of, run my life, my operating system as a person, and I hope that runs, down into our team. I mean, I've spent a lot of time vetting, getting the best people, that we can find locally, and that's the A players are worth their weight in gold, and that's what we do. We found some really amazing people, and we're excited about our opportunity.
That's great. So along the journey, schooling, training? We kind of talked about your background, but what, where did you go?
Yeah.
What did you learn?
Yeah.
How does it apply to what you're doing now?
I'd like to say I'm a student of life. I graduated from the School of Hard Knocks, which is, I've been all over the place. I grew up in Asia. I then lived on the West Coast, and I moved to New York City for 15 years, and then Connecticut for 3, and then down here to South Florida for 3. So really, I've experienced a lot and a lot of people, which has been, very gratifying and been a real very steep learning curve. I know people from all sort of shapes. I know people of all shapes, colors, and creeds, and big business leaders, small people, whatever it is. People are people, and that's what I love about life. Is that you get to interact and discover what makes other people tick as well. But broadly, I went to Santa Clara University. It's the Georgetown of the West. It's a Jesuit school on the West Coast. I studied finance there, and then I went out to New York City. I did some postgraduate work at MIT in operations. I received a certificate how to scale organizations. Then I went back to NYU, got a master's in data science in 2018. I'm also a chartered financial analyst. I did 3 years of studying economics, accounting, ethics, finance. And then obviously I'm a licensed Florida title agent. And, to this day, I'm studying for something. I studied for something last night. So it's sort of that never ending. I mean, we still have so much time left. And, again, it's the constant challenge and competitiveness to continue to enhance your skill set and reinvent yourself always. So, right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of certificates on the wall. I think that, again, those are nice. But I really think it's the people, the relationships, the understanding, and how to win hearts and minds is important. How to help people on their journey, how to be in service in real estate and title. It's super rewarding and it's motivating.
I wholeheartedly believe that being a lifelong student is incredibly valuable in all the different ways, whether it's a formal education or life experience or the School of Hard Knocks. But all of that adds to who you end up being. It usually refines itself in a way where you are the very best version of you because of all that combined information.
Every year I look back and I'm like, God, what was the problem last year? And now it's not. You kind of get over it. If I find a mountain in my life, I climb it. I know you're the same way, which is just like, challenge is good. It makes you stronger. It gives you more endurance, and then you can say, hey, I did that. So
100%.
It's rewarding. Yeah.
So tell me about the biggest achievement in your life.
Yeah, I'd sort of go back to my schooling at NYU. Again, people person, fundamentally trained, focused on investing in title, asset management, and technology for 10 years. But I test into NYU, and I, pass these math exams, and I get into NYU, and suddenly I'm sitting there on the first day, and AI is artificial intelligence is a little bit mislabeled. It really is machine intelligence. And so I'm sitting there at NYU, and basically the first day is a blank program as to how to make two systems talk to each other. I have no programming ability whatsoever. I'm highly learned, I write well, I'm a good mathematician, but suddenly I have to turn into a programmer and coder. And I'm thinking I might as well be sitting, in Shanghai learning Mandarin. And so I said to myself at that point, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. And then sort of, you sleep on it a couple of nights, and you're like, I have to do this. And from the day one, if you told me that I would have graduated number 6 in the class of 71, I would have said no chance. But it happened. So, yeah, I mean, it's sort of late nights in the extremely late nights in the library, a lot of time with, these PhD students, these teachers' aides, which first of all, there's a ton of brilliant people in the world. And that's what I first learned. It was a huge lesson to me. I mean, I sat next to a person that didn't say a word for the first 6 weeks of lectures. I'm thinking this person's just like, I don't know, are they catatonic? And then I did a project with her, and I'm like, oh my God, this person is wild, like way smarter than me. Yeah. And I'm just this type of person that you're going to work for her, You're like, okay. So, and you wouldn't get that didn't come off like that. So, that learning curve was incredible. And it was, it's sort of, it wasn't a master's that I got 20 years ago. I got it 6 years ago. And, still to me, I look back and say, wow, that was incredible.
And it's interesting that you reference AI because it was back then.
Yeah, I mean,
people know it as today's AI.
well, that's what data science is. I mean, data science is basically, it's decision trees, right? So, and the trees are stacked upon each other. So, are you doing this and this? And then the second permutation is you go to the next decision tree and it's got, 2 nodes off that decision. And that's what machine intelligence is. So we say AI and, in title, we have machine readable forms. We can, we put the contract into a program and all the information is extracted. That's machine readable. But there's all these fantastic things, large language models like ChatGPT, which we've talked about and which we've had a class on recently, where, basically you're giving us a string of commands verbally and there's output.
Right.
And all these things are machine intelligence trying to replicate the human brain.
It's just being fed with more data and faster processing.
More data, faster processing, decision trees, but will it have the power to deduce like the human brain? I don't think so. And that's sort of to be determined. But it's a fascinating point in time, especially in title and real estate, because all these tools and these programs are available to us now.
Right.
And so it's great to have that background to understand, okay, this is going to work. This is not going to work so great. This is going to be, a home run. So that training's been invaluable.
From a bigger perspective, what do you think is the most important attribute for a corporate leader?
I think I always tell myself I reserve the right to change my mind. So I think open-mindedness is highly valuable. The business environment is so dynamic and there's so much information and everything prices real time, stock prices and new information and all these things. So you have to be dynamic. So I would say open-mindedness and being willing to alter the plan. I know, Elon Musk, he's as hardwired as they come. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing, which is great. It's been successful for him, but I believe in other businesses that open-mindedness is a vital trait and that would enable you to survive, thrive, and grow.
What do you consider different about your particular leadership style?
Yeah, I mean, I think being a player coach is vitally important. I sort of defer, and it'll be a quick story. I'm a bit of a historian. So Erwin Rommel was the German Panzer tank commander, which took Northern Africa. And there's a story after a big battle that Rommel had won, that his attaché came into his caravan with a steak and potato dinner. And Rommel's like, I can't eat this. And the attaché was like, why? He's like, well, if I'm not eating what my men are eating, I have no idea how far we can go. And the men were eating, cold soup and stale bread. And Rommel basically was saying, like, look, I have to be a soldier with my other soldiers. I'm not just a commander that sits in the back. And really, that's it. I mean, every day I'm knee deep in the operations and the files and problem solving with the team. We have amazing title experts and processors and treasury people, and I oversee all that. And I have to be there every day, understanding what's next, what are we waiting for, how do we service.
But you definitely enjoy that collaboration inside there.
As I say, the team, I get up in the morning and, I think I'm hoping that our team says the same thing, that they like to come and be part of, we band arms, lock arms, and go out there and win business. And
that's
help people.
The environment you're fostering there.
Yeah, and you have to be a player coach. I mean, coming back to it, just saying you have to be knee deep in the business, which I pride myself on.
What was your favorite moment in sports?
Geez, I'm back to my childhood, but I remember staying up all night for a boxing match in Japan between Mike Tyson and James Buster Douglas. And, this monolith of Mike Tyson, who I believe won matches before even getting in the ring because everyone was so frightened of him. And Buster Douglas was a guy that, he was a sort of a mediocre boxer, and he had fits and starts. And so, to see Mike Tyson, again perform was something wildly interesting enough for me to stay up till midnight, watching this match. And by the second round, you could see that this was not a regular competitor of Tyson. And James Buster Douglas was the first person to use his attributes, his physical attributes, against Mike Tyson. He was taller, he had a longer reach. And the big thing which really struck me was his mother had died like 2 weeks before the match. And he was so inspired. And he said before the match, I'm going to win this fight. And Vegas had no odds on him. There was one line at 72-1, which gave him like a 1.5% chance of winning. And Tyson did what Tyson did. He knocked Douglas down in the 8th round with an uppercut, the huge Mike Tyson, stereotypical, uppercut, and knocked him down. And then Douglas got up, and then he won the fight, knocked Tyson out in the 10th round, which was amazing. I just remember like standing and yelling and cheering and just seeing this epic moment, and it was the biggest upset in boxing history. But I think it's an analog for business. Like the champ's the champ until they lose sight, right? And Tyson overlooked Douglas, and Douglas came in and was passionate and believed in himself, and the rest is history. And I just remember that being an indelible moment. I actually watched the fight recently again, and it was just it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, you're only as good as you are on that day.
Yeah.
No matter what has happened previously.
Yeah, but I mean, look, there are bigger title companies, and that's the way I think about it. I think, who's going to be the next champ?
So with everything you've done, is there anyone you would like to learn from, or is there anyone you would have loved to have had lunch with? And let me take it a little step further, either past or present.
No, I'm going to stick with the present. I think Bill Clinton, and it's not a political statement, but Bill Clinton, what I like about Bill Clinton was he loved to be president, which is, I think, what's lacking in today's choices. We're in an election year, and Bill Clinton loved that job. Mm-hmm. And then we have one person that sort of is a megalomaniac and is in love with fame, another person just has been president and will do it again. So, but Clinton, I think he had just such a grab the world by the horns and just tackle it. And he was so energetic and so enthusiastic, and he was a brilliant person. And it was a great time for America. He ran America through an amazing economic boom, and he had some amazingly intelligent people around him. Madeleine Albright was his Secretary of State, so amazingly skilled in foreign affairs. Al Gore, probably the smartest VP we've ever had. And that said, again, that's not a political statement. I just think that he was an amazing historical and political figure, and he'd be really interesting, just his take on many things.
Yeah, what would you ask him?
I mean, geez, I get a little catty, and I get a little, I'm a little celebrity thing. Like, hey, what happened with Liz Hurley? What about Netanyahu? I mean, you could. There's so many things you could cover.
To be a fly on the wall.
To be a fly on the wall, all those things. I mean, again, there was a lot of political conflict, and then, he actually wasn't a tax and spend. So I'd be curious what he thinks now with blowing these massive deficits. And he sort of managed a balanced budget. It was the last time the U.S. budget was actually balanced. Now, granted, the economy was booming, and so receipts were up. But
sure,
like he was a good economist too. And then I'll go with Reagan too. I mean, if we're just going to do political, I mean, like, I'm a Reagan Republican. I love the way that he stood down, Gorbachev and the Cold War, and it was just that defiance, that we had great leadership. Yeah, it was Reagan and Thatcher and Clinton, and now we're just, a lot of things are diluted.
When I think of those times, I do think of the strong word of leadership.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, we're in a different place now. So.
Yeah. All right, let's hit some rapid fire questions here.
Okay, let's move it along.
Right. What do you consider the most important trait for young people to have today?
I don't know how you measure it, but grit and determination. Just grit and determination. To be able to dust yourself off, get back up, and keep playing.
Favorite historical figure?
I'm going to go Winston Churchill. The guy had a gin fizz at breakfast, and then threatened the Germans. And
in the afternoon?
Yeah. The English won the war because of the English Channel, because the Germans couldn't just sweep the country. There was a body of water, and Winston Churchill said, "We'll fight you in the streets, on the beaches, in the schoolyards," and they did it.
Leadership.
My grandfather was a Churchillite. He fought for Churchill.
Most iconic person in the world?
I just saw him recently by chance in passing, but Michael Jordan. The jump man, it's an emblem of dominance. It's not just basketball. Jump man in golf means, we're here to win. And I just think if you look across cycle what he's done, build businesses, and he's a symbol of competitiveness, winning. And
I agree. What do you consider the biggest problem in America that you'd love to solve?
If I had a passion project, I believe one of the biggest issues we have is distracted driving in America. I drive up and down. I come up the turnpike. I go down the 95, and honestly, I pass people that are just completely on their phones. I looked at the stats because this really bothered me, and vehicular manslaughter is up 300% in the last 5 years.
Completely avoidable.
Completely avoidable. It's a piece of technology. The phone shuts off, or is only in GPS mode when it comes into the phone, or when you come into the car, or autonomous driving. You know, if you're on safe mode, you can read the paper, you can get yourself home after the restaurant or bar safely. I mean, that would be a huge benefit to mankind.
For as much as people are weirded out by self-driving cars, they're undoubtedly a better driver than you on your phone.
I 100%. It's a huge problem. I get nervous thinking of my children riding in cars, and it's like I'm nervous for myself too, and you. So I mean,
Yeah.
if we could solve that, I think that'd be an amazing problem.
Wonderful. So I really appreciate you coming through and having to sit down with me. It's always good to kind of dig in a little bit deeper. It's great to talk about business and the services we provide and all these wonderful things, but to understand, I think, who's at the helm, who's behind, what are their intentions? You know, do we just have something that's stale and here on the shelf, or are we really trying to grow something that's to the benefit of others? So thank you.
Well, it was great having me in the Florida Podcast Studios. I appreciate you having me and everything you do for us and our companies.
Of course. Looking forward to the next one. Thanks.